Hello all of you wonderful people, Jules here for WhatCulture.com, and as I've said many times before, making a movie is bloody hard work. You've got to wrangle with studio demands, keep your prima donna actors happy, and worst of all, even when you've shot everything and have reels and reels of film, you've got to cut it all down to a final product. And that, my friends, is no easy feat, as cutting scenes from one section of the film might completely take away from other areas or leave plot threads hanging that the audience will inevitably use to pull apart the entire piece. Still, it has to be done, and nearly all of our favourite films have got some strange dead-end moments. However, that's not to say that we don't also have the pieces to put things back together, as with the slew of director's cuts and deleted scenes libraries, we can actually fill in these cracks and smooth the whole experience over. So let's gather round and get our builder's bums out, as I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 more deleted movie scenes that explain confusing film moments. And just so you know, this is actually a sequel video to an original we did a while back, so if your favourites aren't on this one, then chances are we've already covered them. Number 10. Doc bribes the cop. Back to the Future. In the theatrical cut of Back to the Future, Doc Brown's weather experiment is interrupted by a suspicious policeman who asks Doc whether or not he's got a permit. Doc somewhat cheekily replies, "Of course I do," and he's seen reaching into his wallet for an unspecified item. Maybe it was indeed a permit, which would actually be quite weird but utterly in keeping with the strange vibe of the film. Maybe it was a gun and he was going to shoot him. Or, as is proved by this deleted scene, it was just a $50 note to keep the gumshoe plodding on. Oh well, that's less interesting, but at least it fills in the hole, right? Number 9. Wallace's lead-lined wheelchair. Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice. The original theatrical release of Batman vs Superman is, rather sadly, a quite sloppy mess rife with unconvincing character motivations and straight-up nonsensical plot points. However, perhaps nothing in the film is more odd than when Superman shows a bizarre inability to detect a bomb planted in Wallace's wheelchair during the congressional hearing. This is the X-ray vision-toting Man of Steel that we're talking about, and in a movie that caught plenty of flack for its dour, mopey depiction of Superman, was there any image more counter to the source material than the superhero helplessly standing amidst the fiery remains of Congress? Well, in a deleted scene included in the film's Ultimate Edition, it finally lays the issue to rest. Here, a Star Labs scientist, who was cut completely from the theatrical version of the film, explains to Lois Lane that Wallace's chair was lined with lead. As even the most casual fan knows, Superman can't see through lead, therefore it's actually quite a tidy enough explanation for the audience. It's just a shame that this piece was cut from the version that many saw, and would probably have been a wise inclusion seeing how much ire this title drew for skimming over details like this. Number 8. Cap meets the Waitress, The Avengers. Ever watched The Avengers and thought to yourself, what was up with that blonde waitress Beth being shown so much during the Battle of New York? Well, it turns out that she was part of an entire subplot that was filmed showing the waitress serving Captain America coffee as he's struggling to readjust to life in the present. Here, she flirts with Steve, and there's even an extra little cameo from Stan Lee, who, well, calls him a moron for not asking her out, and it's basically just 3 minutes of solid, worthwhile character development. This is why we actually get to see her so much in the battle, but alas, this subplot was dropped, and as such she just seems to be at the front and centre of a strange amount of chaos. Oddly enough, Whedon actually pulled this same trick again in Age of Ultron, shooting a deleted subplot involving a Sokovian woman and her brother, who ultimately appear briefly, and rather distractingly, in the third act of the final cut. Number 7. Voldemort's Taboo Curse, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. One of the most distinctive traits of the evil Lord Voldemort is that practically every good-willed character in the franchise is terrified of speaking his name aloud, deferring instead to the likes of You-Know-Who and He Who Must Not Be Named and Josh Brown. Ugh. But it's never explicitly stated in the movies why nobody will say his name, and instead it's just used to convey the fear that he causes to the public. However, thanks to a deleted scene filmed for Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1, we see Hermione about to say his name before being interrupted by Ron. Ron then explains that Voldemort's name has a taboo curse placed on it, allowing Voldemort and his acolytes to track anyone who speaks it aloud. That's actually really clever, and while obviously being part of the novels, would have made for an even deeper understanding as to the manipulative and evil ways that the Dark Lord deployed in the movies. However, for some reason or another, this was cut. Number 6. The Missing Octopus, The Goonies. Near the end of Richard Donner's classic 1985 adventure, Data says the octopus was scary, despite the fact that an octopus is never actually featured in the film. An odd moment, but then again considering all of the other events of the film, it likely bypassed a lot of viewers at the time. A deleted sequence was filmed, however, where an octopus attacks Steph and Mouth in the lagoon until Data throws a cassette player down the creature's throat, causing it to dance itself away. Yes, you heard that right. The scene was cut for an undisclosed reason, though most fans seem to assume that it was likely because of the prop octopus not being convincing enough. Strangely, despite being cut entirely from the film, the octopus was still featured in branded trading cards used to promote the movie, and was also included in the novelization. It's bizarre that the line referring to the octopus was even kept in, considering how easily it could have been cut, though perhaps Donner figured that audiences would simply laugh it away as another surreal throwaway one-liner. Number 5. Saruman's death. The Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. In what must be surely one of the most infamous and controversial deleted scenes in cinema history, the villainous Saruman basically just vanishes from the theatrical Lord of the Rings franchise, with the last that we saw of him making it appear like he's a child throwing a tantrum and refusing to come down from his room. In fact, so strange was his sudden disappearance that many thought that he'd resurface in Return of the King. Much to Christopher Lee's own displeasure, his role was cut entirely from the movie and saved for the 252-minute extended edition. Given that this deleted material includes Saruman's death, it's a vital element of the story and one which Peter Jackson was basically wrong to cut out. At least the extended editions are popular enough in their own right that they've basically supplanted the theatrical releases as the definitive versions of these three films. Number 4. The Iron Giant's Nightmare. The Iron Giant. Now here's the deleted scene which, in my own opinion, actually makes the end product worse off overall and can be found in the utterly brilliant animated cult classic, The Iron Giant. One of the best things about this film, aside from its literally stunning animation and emotion, is that there's a huge level of ambiguity around the Iron Giant itself. We as an audience are never fully clued in as to why it landed on Earth. Was its original mission of peace or of war? Well, don't worry, because the deleted scene annihilates this ambiguity by showing a nightmare sequence wherein we see the Iron Giant is part of a robot army that destroys planets, and so yes, we finally have our answer, and no, things weren't looking too good for Earth at this point in time. Number 3. Cutler Beckett's history with Jack Sparrow. Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. Though it's made abundantly clear that Captain Jack Sparrow and Cutler Beckett have plenty of bad blood in the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, we never actually get the specific nature of their quibble explained in the movies. Well, a deleted scene for the third film, At World's End, actually reveals that in his younger days, Beckett entrusted Sparrow to deliver some human cargo. Sparrow, feeling that humans aren't cargo, mate, decided to sack off his contracted employment, freeing the slaves much to Beckett's displeasure. As punishment, Beckett had Sparrow branded with the P and then burned his ship. Given that this simple piece of exposition in the 4-minute scene adds plenty of shade to their relationship across the movies, it's a damn shame that Gore Verbinski couldn't find room for it. Number 2. Thor gets possessed by Norn. Avengers: Age of Ultron. Perhaps the weirdest and most incoherent scene in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe is the peculiar sequence where Thor and Eric are briefly shown visiting a mysterious cave where Thor experiences an apocalyptic vision. The scene feels rushed and jarringly out of place with the rest of the movie, and above all else a lazy way to convey exposition to the audience re Ultron and Thanos. But there's a far longer version of the scene on the home video release, which sees Thor being possessed by Norn, a goddess of destiny who Selvig then quizzes about Ultron and the Infinity Stones. Though the scene was never put through the full post-production process, lacking completed visual effects and sound mixing, it at least lends crucial additional context to one of the biggest missteps in any of the Avengers movies. Well, excluding the whole of Thor 2, that is. And number 1, Agent Jeffries teleports. Twin Peaks: Firewalk with Me. Making sense of David Lynch's Twin Peaks is like trying to understand what your mum is going to do with a cucumber, a sex swing, and a medieval set of thumbscrews, in that we're all sure that the outcome will be gloriously brilliant, but it's going to be a wild ride trying to connect the logic gaps. And that's certainly the case with his 1992 prequel movie to the hit TV series Firewalk with Me. And also, yes, that was my Of the many peculiarities and enigmas in the film, nothing provoked more discussion amongst fans than the presence of Special Agent Philip Jeffries. Jeffries appears briefly at the FBI office in front of Dale Cooper and Gordon Cole, mentioning the name Judy several times and implying that Cooper isn't who Cole thinks he is, before vanishing into thin air. Weird, right? It was a baffling appearance that was lent no additional context until the 2014 release of Twin Peaks: The Missing Pieces, a feature-length compendium of deleted and extended scenes from the movie. The Missing Pieces includes the full Jeffries sequence where he's shown teleporting from a hotel in Argentina to the FBI office and then back again after the original scene plays out. Granted, the additional footage didn't really at all explain Jeffries' character, and fans had to wait until the 2017 TV revival to learn more concrete information. But at the very least, the Missing Pieces reveal where the hell Jeffries came from and then returned to, which I guess is something? And there we go, those were 10 more deleted movie scenes that explain confusing film moments. Let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below. Whatever you were getting up to today, my friends, I hope that you have a fantastic day and absolutely smash it, because remember, you are a bloody legend. You deserve happiness, love, and success. We all do. As always, I've been Jules. You can go follow me at RetroJ with a 0 over on Twitter. You have been awesome. Never forget that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.